There are some new trends in the healthcare field and in human development field, and that is to use mind-altering drugs like ayahuasca, DMT, and so forth to really open up our awareness, our consciousness to a greater sense of reality beyond the familiar. And that therapeutic approach does break boundaries and breaks limitations and wakes people up. But I wouldn't say it's something that would have a lasting effect, because all these drugs have a temporary influence on the nervous system, and then they go away, and then you have to deal sometimes with the side effects or the negative effects of the drugs. In any case, you cannot maintain that high level of perception. However, there's another way how you can expand your consciousness, and it is known as transcendental meditation, where you go beyond the known, beyond your boundaries of your consciousness to deeper levels of previous unconscious levels of your awareness, and expand your awareness, your capacity to experience inwardly. In fact, you go beyond thinking. So you experience finer and finer levels of thinking, and then you transcend even the thinking process and arrive at a state of being, of pure consciousness, which is beyond boundaries, outside of time and space. And as such, when you become awake and aware in these cosmic dimensions of your own existence, then you have access to the deeper dimension of your being, to the deeper dimension of the reality of your existence, naturally and permanently, through the continued practice of TM. That experience stabilizes even outside the meditation, that you also then can function and see and perceive while still in connection to this universal inner awareness. And so that is really the only way to stabilize higher states of consciousness. If you don't want just to have a glimpse of a higher state of consciousness here and there induced by drugs, but you want to cultivate your nervous system and your brain physiology to cultivate a permanent establishment of your consciousness to those deeper realities of your own existence, then TM is a very systematic and scientific and proven way to achieve higher states of consciousness and living those in day-to-day life. So I invite you all to consider that as an option in substitution of these temporary highs and glimpses into higher realities that drugs can afford. In addition, there's also this distortion element that you can never quite know what's going on when you take a certain drug, what kind of trip you will be going on. Whereas in TM, everything unfolds naturally and step by step. So the nervous system gets prepared to sustain the energy and the intensity of higher states of consciousness. And the subtlety, because the higher states of consciousness require a more subtle awareness. It's like, here's matter, here are the molecules, here are the atoms. Beyond the atoms are the atomic particles. Beyond that are the quarks and leptons and all muons and all the quantum molecule particles. And beyond that is the field of pure energy, pure intelligence. In order to perceive that, our awareness has to become more and more acute, more and more refined, so that we can perceive those deepest levels of reality. They require the most amount of alertness, the highest amount of refined perception. And the process of transcendental meditation with the use of the mantra is naturally cultivating the ability for acute perception of finer and finer and more abstract levels of reality and existence. So it's an awesome process. I've been engaged in that for the last 50 years. I dedicated my whole life to the development of higher states of consciousness, and I can only highly recommend that as a very easy way to access these dimensions.